Hey everyone, it's my second video of the day. So the theme of today's video is a message that came through to me from the 144,000. It's actually a message that I've been compiling for the last few weeks through my sessions. And then a major message came through to pull it all together. But before I begin, I wanted to, I forgot to mention something in the last video. I just did a video before this one earlier today on the animal kingdom. And one thing that I forgot to mention is, as part of the feed animal livestock trajectory, what I forgot to mention is for the future of our eating, or how we're going to consume wild animals and cows and things like that will severely go down based on the desire to eat these animals. A lot of children right now are not wanting to eat meat, and a lot of people are choosing to go vegan or vegetarian. And so I see that they will no longer serve or have the opportunity for people to buy meat at grocery stores. We're going to get rid of all the big box stores, so the Costco's and the BJ's and all of those. I don't see them around in the next 5 years, and I don't see meat being sold in markets anymore. So those of you that are really going to want to eat meat are going to be those that are farmers, have your own cattle, or there will be opportunity for people to buy them in like farmers markets and things like that, and local farms. So I think that it seems like it's a gradual shift, because I think there's a lot of people so programmed and trained to eat meat that it would be really drastic if they just suddenly took all of those. But they're going to decrease the amount of available meat. And that I saw next year. So that first phase that I saw, where now we have the opportunity for all of these cows that are no longer going to be slaughtered, or the horses and the chickens and the pigs. Those are the animals that are going to be offered to people in certain areas of the country, at least in the States in the beginning, that I see. We'll be able to have an opportunity to go to certain farms and be housed and taken care of and create sanctuaries for them. And then as we go through different phases, then the larger percentage of the animals there will be these sanctuaries that are created for them to live and thrive in a much more respectful way. Because, I don't know if I really stressed this in the last video enough, but the future of our relationship and understanding of the animal kingdom is going to shift dramatically, where the children of the next generations to come are going to have a completely different relationship with the animals, and it will look completely different than it does today. And this is only the beginning. So that was the part of the message that I forgot to include. So if you're watching this and you didn't watch the last video, then you might want to go back and so you can understand what the heck I'm talking about. Okay, so the message for this video is about humanity. Now, in a lot of my sessions, whether I'm working with an individual in their 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s, a lot of the theme that I'm getting right now are that people are being activated and awakened at this point in their life. And the question is that I receive a lot is, why now? Why have I lived my entire life asleep? Why, I've always had a knowing or an inkling that it was different and things were wrong, but I really truly wasn't awakened until recently. And what I'm finding in my sessions, whether these people are earth spirits, whether they are from another galaxy, another star system, other planet, regardless, it doesn't matter where they're from. What I've been told is that the dark side does not have as much power as we have been led to believe. And what they're telling me is that a lot of the souls on this planet that have been asleep their whole life, that we say, oh, the sleepers, that sort of thing, that are still out there, not awake, not having any clue about what's going on. They are actually awakening at a massive rate right now. And the reason for that is because their soul had chosen ahead of time for their protection to remain asleep for a certain period of their life, or a large percentage of their life if they're older right now. And that's because they have a very large role to in the new earth system, in the ascension period, whether they're the future healers, doctors, in like that realm, or future of politics, or the future of the education system. I mean, you name it, the future of animals, the future of conservation. You know, a lot of these people worked in those areas, in those fields of pharmaceuticals or physicians, or in the education system, and they're getting to a point now where they're like, I can't stand it anymore. I don't want to be at my job. I can't even do this. And they're being awakened and activated. And that is because their soul chose ahead of time to kind of be in this, within the system their whole life, not truly being completely aware of what's wrong with it, but just kind of having an idea, because the dark ones, as we know, are very, I don't want to say evolved because that gives them too much power, but they're very intelligent, and they have a very delicate and intricate system. So they know what they're doing. They know when light workers come to the planet, or they know which souls or humans walking around are evolved, that have a bright light, that are here to make change. And they have historically done everything they can to bring them down, to end their life early. That's what freak accidents are about. That's what SIDS was about for a lot of time in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's what a lot of alcohol abuse and a lot of the things that I won't say specifically because I don't want to get my channel taken down, but a lot of the things that they've done to program people and to bring them into a low vibration so they make poor choices was all designed by the dark to bring down, predominantly a lot of the times, the light. The ones that have come in as volunteers to help with raise the frequency or the consciousness of humanity, and they were sucked in, and they were taken advantage of, or they were controlled. And so what I was told is what they had to shift this in this generation, these last few generations of time period. What they had to do is, instead of these individuals knowing what they're here to do and coming in extremely psychic and coming in with a knowing of what it is that they're meant to do, they're cut off in a way where they don't have a conscious knowing of it, so that there's a cloak of protection, or this element of protection around them, so that the dark ones aren't able to kind of see what it is that they're here to do, or that they're here to do a profound thing for humanity. And so they're not messed with, they're not bothered. And what I've been told is that a lot of these people are slowly waking up, and they will continue to wake up. So, you know, controversially, I haven't really agreed with a lot of people that have said that millions of people are going to die. I thought that was wrong from the beginning and never sat well with me. I think that a lot of people are choosing to die for various reasons, whether it's for exposure, or because their souls are not going to be part of the ascension, or they don't wish to be here any longer, or maybe they just don't want to put in the work to get to the fifth dimension. You know, they don't want to do it, and that's okay. We're not going to judge any of those people, but those are the people that are choosing to leave. But really, a lot of the people that are still here that are, and the reason why I said this is an urgent message is because this is for all of those people who are feeling alone, who are feeling isolated, who are feeling like they're in families where they're the only ones awake. They're the only ones that didn't do this. You know, they're the only ones losing their jobs because they're being forced to make decisions that don't align with their highest good. And they're worried about their families, and they're really worried about what's going to happen to their spouse, their children, their parents, their neighbors, their loved ones, all sorts of things, their friends. And up until this point recently, I didn't have a solidified answer for that, because it was kind of different for every situation. And what I was coaching people on was, you know, we really have to understand that people have free will, and whatever it is that they choose to do, we can't influence that. It has to be from their soul has to decide what it is that they want to do. And what I didn't understand was that a lot of these people were purposely put asleep, and enough of the darkness had to leave the planet. Enough of these evil ones had to be gone or taken over. We had to be far enough in this spiritual war for these people to feel comfortable, these souls to say, okay, at this point in time, I will awaken, and it will be my period and my time. Because they didn't want to risk infiltration, or they didn't want to risk something happening to them, or their guides or their soul family had them agree ahead of time that they were going to come in asleep until a certain point. And that's why we have, you know, children, teenagers. I mean, literally in every age bracket across the board, people are waking up. And I know that sounds funny to hear a 5-year-old waking up, but even the young ones who have been kind of not really aware of anything, or not showing spiritual gifts, or not showing their parents that they're seeing spirits or things like that. So it's not like clear that they have gifts. Even those children are awakening, or perhaps they're walk-ins, and their walk-in that's coming in is completely different and in a higher frequency. So what I want to tell people is, don't try not to worry for your family. I'm not saying that 100% of the people are going to, this is the truth for everybody, but what they're telling me is a lot of people, a lot of souls are choosing to awaken in their own time. It could be tomorrow, it could be next month, it could be next year. There really is no way to know, but just understand that the people that we are praying for to, wake up, the collective consciousness needs to wake up, so that we can move forward. What's the delay? People are frustrated. Oh, it's taking too long. Just know that there's so much more to this than I had even understood. And a lot of it has to do with those people, those souls feeling comfortable coming out because they need to be protected, because what they're here to do later on, even if they're not consciously aware of it right now, and they would have no idea what it is that they're going to be involved in later, it's for their safety, because they cannot be they can't show who they truly are just yet. And this is true, again, for all ages. So if you're a 60, 70-year-old person, 80-year-old, I've been told in sessions to tell an 80-year-old woman that her life is about to just about to begin, and to get ready. You're about to get really busy. So age does not matter right now. Trust me, that has nothing to do with any of it. We are waiting for certain periods in humanity for the collective consciousness to be ready for certain things, certain roles to be available, certain events to happen. It's so multidimensional that I'm not even going to try to act like I understand it completely. So what I'm telling you is kind of my interpretation and how I understand it. But just know that the dark ones don't have as much control as we think. And perhaps a lot of these people, if we shift our perspective, maybe they've chosen to be asleep. But soon many will awaken. Many of those 15, like I mentioned, 13, 15 to 30-year-olds that seem that they're not spiritual. They're not open to any of this. They think their parents are woo if they're talking about this. They are even more in that bracket than anyone else, because they have a very important job to shift the trajectory of our humanity and how the main areas of our society are run. Like I said, the main pillars, education, advancements in technology, healing, all of it, politics, everything. These children are coming in, these adolescents, with this knowledge. That's why they're here, but they don't know it yet because they're not activated yet, because it's not safe. It hasn't been safe for them to come out and know what they're truly here to do. They're almost turned off on purpose so that the dark ones can't find them. They don't know that their light is as bright as it actually is. Because these guys are they're sneaky, and they attack in different ways. And, there's in the dreams, a lot of the children are getting attacked in dreams, and they're having nightmares. And that is, what's that movie? Nightmare on Elm Street. Those of you that watched that movie when you were young, I watched it when I was a kid, and oh my God, I had nightmares forever. But that's a real thing. It's a movie based on a real principle, that the dark ones can come into these children's reality in the dream state, and they torment them, and they torture them, and they scare them on purpose, because they want these children to be in a fear vibration. Because when you're in the fear vibration, you are not going to be the true essence of yourself. Your light is dimmed. You're not able to be and honor who you truly are. Your consciousness, your intuition starts to dim because you're in that fear mode, and that's how they can control you. And so we have to be diligent right now to care for the children, and recognize that what they're going through. But everything is shifting. So I'm not saying this to scare you, because everyone that knows me knows that I never, it's not a hopium. It's about giving hope. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to encourage people in my sessions, one-on-one, and in my interviews, that this is the time now to focus on what it is that we want to create. So instead of focusing your attention on the negative, what hasn't happened, what hasn't been announced, what we're worried about, or how I'm going to pay for this, all of that, try to say, you know what, I surrender. and focus on the light, focus on what it is that your role could be in the ascension. If you could design, this is what I do with children, with the adolescent group. I say, if you could design your life to look any way you wish, without any expectations, without any limitations, without any worry about money, what would you do if you could do anything? And you can see the light in them shift, where they're like, I didn't know I had that opportunity. I didn't know that was a choice. And then they're suddenly like, well, I would do this, or I would love to do this. And then you can see the creative part of them just come out, and then suddenly they've designed their future. And I said, okay, great, focus on that. That is what you're going to do. It may not appear like you're going to do that just yet, but you will. You're working up to it. And so that's kind of where we are right now. So I hope that I remembered. Let me just check my notes. I think that's everything. And just know that, a lot of us are frustrated right now because we want to get information from our guides, and it's all about divine timing and planning. Again, going back to the protection element. When I started originally connecting with my guides, my spirit guides, I'm a very impatient person. I always wanted to know all the information. Well, what's going to happen next? And then what's going to happen? And they would always tell me, just slow down, Sherri, just relax. You're going to get the information that you need in the time that you need it, in the time that it's of your highest good, and also in a time where you're going to understand it. And I didn't like that answer, but they did it to me all the time. And I realize now in hindsight, there is no way that I would have understood the gravity of what I was being told in these certain stages if they had told me all at once. It would have been too overwhelming. And I needed life experiences to happen in order for me to understand and relate to what they were going to tell me next. And I feel like humanity is in this exact phase right now, is that we are being given information when we're ready for it. And it's on an individual base where people individually are ascending in their own pace. They're healing in their own pace, and they were receiving downloads in their own pace for their protection and also to align with their spiritual evolution, which is different for everybody. But then we're also having a collective experience where collectively we are getting downloads and getting information, divine intervention, divine influence, and shifts in energy when we're ready for it as a collective. So there's a lot of elements to it. So just hang in there, everybody. I felt like this was really urgent and I needed to get this out. Hopefully this makes sense and I explained it well. And as I get more information and as I do more interviews, as you know, I always give more information, but I think this was the most of it for right now. So I hope all of you are doing well. And until next time, I'll see you guys.